Occasional check-ins with Rob.
Lovely. Okay, and action.
Well, I'm Rob Saik, and I've been involved in the advocacy for agricultural science for quite some time, and I'm with my buddy, Dr. Kevin Folta from the University of Florida. And Kevin, today you were speaking at the Lethbridge, Alberta Smarter Farming Conference, and you come all the way up from Florida to Alberta in the middle of the wintertime. Brilliant timing. Why did you come up? Like, why do you do this stuff?
Well, it's all about snowshoeing and ice skating.
And ice fishing.
And ice fishing.
You can drown if you catch too much of it.
No, but in all seriousness, it's because this is the time of year when it's the off season for farmers in Alberta and across Canada.
Yep.
And so it's a great opportunity for us to be able to share what we've learned about messaging about agriculture. And you can never do this up here during their growing season. It's short and they're busy. Now it's a great time to be able to get everybody in one room and talk about how we can change the attitudes towards agriculture.
So Kevin, back in, I think it was 2015, I had you come up and talk at the Farm Forum event, and I couldn't help but notice the difference in the presentation that you gave between then and now. It was quite different. Back then, it was heavily rooted in science and facts, and today was a lot more around how to describe it, or a lot around more feeling and creating a conversation with the public. Can you talk to me a little bit about that metamorphosis?
Sure. Well, back then it was about preaching to the choir. How do we give our advocates more ammunition to go out and talk to others, talk about the facts, talk about what this is? But it was more of that kind of failed deficit model that I didn't really realize was not as effective. That what we're talking about now isn't about coming out and preaching to the choir. It's about how to get everybody to find a congregation to preach to.
So you had a chart there that had the red slice, which was representative of the agriculture, the yellow slice, which was the anti-science people, and then the big blue part of the chart, which is the undecided. And you still contest that in the face of all of the anti-GMO, anti-science stuff, that still the majority of people still are undecided yet.
Absolutely. And people don't know who to trust or what to believe. The people who are working against agriculture, they come off as fringe and as unstable. The people who come off in favor of science and agriculture don't really come out very much.
Right.
And so there's this one opinion that's out there, and it's not a popular one, but it's all that's there. It's an asymmetrical argument that's based on fear. What we have to realize as agricultural community is that our message resonates very well if we tell it, but we're not stepping into that discussion, and when we do it wrong.
So Kevin, in your talk today, and I took notes, you had 3 circles in your notes. You had logos, pathos, and ethos, and I took notes that means really head, heart, and ethics. And can you talk about how you were using those 3 things to explain how we as agricultural science people might communicate to the broader public?
Well, this all goes back to Aristotle, who reminded us that the best persuasion maintains elements of the heart and elements of the logic in the head and other logics of our credibility in our ethics. And that was Aristotle all over. And we see elements of that when we analyze or examine the rhetoric of different folks involved in these conversations. The activists are very pathos-oriented. It's all about emotion. This is going to kill you. This is going to give your children autism. It's going to poison the land.
Yeah.
As scientists and farmers, we come at this.
We come back with logos.
Right, and logos. Right?
Yeah.
We're saying, well, here are the facts. This is this, and this is this. And in that battle between heart and head, we don't win. The way that we win that conversation is with ethos, our ethics, our credibility, because this is what really gives us an edge in that equation. Because, yeah, we can have pathos and logos, but we have experience and we have knowledge, we have experience, And the reason why we do this, what are our values as farmers? What are our values as scientists? We're in this for the right reason. And that's what people need to hear.
Well, it's interesting because I never actually correlated this to what I had evolved in my conversation. When I run into an anti-science person today, anti-GMO, anti-science person, I say, can we reframe the conversation? Do we agree that agriculture needs to be infinitely sustainable? And they agree. And then I can say, well, let's talk about what sustainability means. And undoubtedly, it rolls back to soil health and water use efficiency and greenhouse gas balance. And when you start to lay those things in, then you can start to layer in the science of genetic engineering or modern agricultural technology, and it changes the discussion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't even have to comment on that. You hit the nail on the head. That when we use our ethics, that we're in this for the right reason, we're all on the same page, that we're here for the same ethical reasons, that all of that other stuff doesn't matter. That even the facts don't matter anymore. That when we start getting into the details and the minutia, nobody cares. They realize that we're experts in what we do, we're in it for the right reason, so they trust what we're saying.
So if you're farmer or an agricultural person listening to this, it's about the ethics, about your value system that really resonates with the consumer. Is that right?
Oh yeah, and it's much easier than we've made it, right? We've made this a discussion of facts and how we frame an argument. All this is us saying to people, here's what's important to us and why we do this. This is why we lace up our boots or why we put on our lab coat every single day. It's because of these important reasons that we all care about.
No question. We care about science, and I wanted to move this conversation a little bit in the direction of what we're seeing happen right now with the whole anti-GMO, anti-glyphosate movement going on. And you brought up the article in The Guardian today that was just recently released by Erin Brokovich that says there's glyphosate in all our food. And I wanted to kind of hit the nail on the head here and talk to you a little bit about where is this coming from? Where is this anti-glyphosate rhetoric? Because it's a 1 in 100 year molecule. It's an amazing product, and it's being attacked ferociously. Yeah.
Well, it's survived 40 years of regulatory approval by many different independent evaluators, by many companies, and many different federal agencies all over the world, as well as scrutiny of many independent scientists. The reason it's under scrutiny is because the reason it currently is being attacked so hard is because activists see this as the Achilles heel of the genetic engineering technology.
Sure.
They couldn't take out the genetic engineering. The predictions they made.
They don't attack Bacillus thuringiensis or BT.
Right.
They attack glyphosate.
Right, and they don't even go after the herbicide-tolerant crop because they've shown now for 20 years it doesn't do anything. None of the dire predictions they made ever came true.
So now they're going after the chemistry.
So now they go after the chemistry because it's easy to go after chemistry.
Yeah, chemical's bad.
There's a chemical legacy. There's chemophobia. There's places where chemistry was used inappropriately and wrongly. And it's easy to say anything that ends in ICIDE.
Dihydrogen monoxide.
Well, anything that's in the side, right? A pesticide, herbicide, fungicide, automatically resonates as something that people don't want in food.
So where is this undercurrent all coming from?
Well, it's coming from many different places, but it's the same old, the folks who are originally against genetic engineering, that kind of anti-corporate movement. But now it has the overlay of the well-financed wheels of class action litigation.
Tort lawyers.
Tort lawyers. Yeah. And the folks who are going to stand to make millions, if not billions of dollars from the insurance companies that are representing the chemical companies that make glyphosate and other related compounds.
So we have the first case that was Dwayne Johnson, unfortunately, ended up with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and they tried to correlate that back into his exposure to glyphosate. They used the IARC, the Independent Agency for the Review on Cancer, as the probable carcinogen classification. It's the only one that came out with it. And that IARC ruling, or that IARC monogram, was fraught with, it is biased and highly suspect, right?
Well, it cites a lot of data which have been superseded by better quality studies and ignored many of the best quality evaluations in their determination.
The chairman knew of a 50,000 head study that was done on applicators and farmers and ignored it. It showed no correlation to any kind of carcinogen between Roundup and cancer. Chris Portier was getting paid $160,000 US to appear as an anti-glyphosate witness while he served on IARC. And Dr. David Zaruk broke the fact that in the draft document to the final monogram, they changed 10 sentences 180 degrees. So this IARC, this is a scandal. It's a scandal.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. And for Brokovich to put in The Guardian that glyphosate causes cancer, which she wrote, which is false.
Yeah.
There's no evidence to support that anyway. To say that it's found in all your food.
What kind of food did she say?
Carrots.
Oh, because you're gonna spray Roundup on carrots, yeah,
on beets, which would kill them.
Quinoa, I think.
And quinoa was, it's lies. It was a deceptive document and shameful.
Yeah.
Because she's somebody who had a lot of gravitas and a lot of respect as a warrior for the consumer against environmental toxins, and now has really and she works for this law firm.
She works for the law firm. Did an opinion piece in The Guardian, cited the fact that glyphosate causes cancer to raise fear, to drive people towards a class action lawsuit by the
law firm that she represents.
Duplicitous and
can you imagine if I wrote an article and I was being sponsored by a company?
Well, you've been accused of it.
I know.
Yeah.
And we have been sponsored by companies too, but we've always told the truth.
Yeah.
And so that's the big difference. Here's somebody who's being deceptive, who's lying, saying everything against what we know, with absolutely no evidence, and is part of this class action.
You know, it's interesting, because just to wind up on this thought that, when the refrigerators come out, they were fought by the ice industry. When the tractors came out, they were fought by the horse industry. When AC came out, it was fought by DC or vice versa, electricity. And we're in that same fight right now. And I think, you said something over dinner tonight that I'd like you to talk to, and it really speaks to where history will land on this whole thing.
Yes, and I think that's the thing that keeps me going.
Yeah.
That's kind of the wind beneath my wings right now, is that when we look back on this in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, when the ink is dry in the history book, we will see a concerted, underground, fraudulent effort that went after a good chemistry that was helping farmers. And likely, my prediction is it will be eliminated.
A pretty big conspiracy going on right now.
There is a tremendous
against
conspiracy
genetic engineering.
Against genetic engineering and the products used associated with it.
Yep.
And that we will see this. History will show that this was a fabricated discussion that cost hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, that raised prices of food, that had impacts in what farmers were able to do or not do on their own farms. I think time will show that. And I know that I want to be on the side of history that I did everything I could to stand up for science and reason. And that's why opportunities like this, for people to engage the public on what is really there. It's really essential right now.
I'm partners in a farm in Uganda right now, and in Uganda, there really is difficulty in getting genetic engineering into that country. And yet, genetic engineered cassava, banana, biofortified rice all exist, and they're behind walls. They're behind
barbed wire.
They're behind barbed wire, and they're being kept away from some of the poorest people on the planet that desperately need this technology. I think that's criminal.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I stood in the farm in the Naro Research Park there.
Yes.
The name escapes me at the moment.
Just outside of Kampala.
Yeah, just outside of Kampala.
Yeah, I've been there.
But I was there with Dr. Priver Namanya, who was the woman who designed the high beta-carotene, vitamin A, banana that would help alleviate blindness in our country.
Yeah.
And she's not Monsanto or Dow or Bayer. She's a woman from Uganda who wants to help Ugandans, and she created the solution. And the solution is behind this 9-foot fence with barbed wire on top and a guy with a rifle standing there. And that breaks my heart, because this is something that could help people. And it's criminal to not allow it out. And that's where we are.
That's what we do. Kevin, I just want to thank you so much for spending some time with us. I want to thank you for being courageous. You've taken a lot of personal shots over the time, and it's not lost on those of us who follow your work. So Kevin Folta, Talking Biotech podcast. Follow Kevin. And this is Rob and our work with No Ideas Media. Follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you very much.
Great.
Occasional check-ins with Rob.